Welcome, everyone, to the second Gatorade 125. To set the starting grid for the 42nd Daytona 500, we saw Duel 1 just about a half hour ago. Celeste Sullivan winning the first duel and starting this race on Sunday from third place. We know the front row, Darrell Everett and Cole Tucker will be on the front row. Cole Tucker, bottom of your screen at 24. DuPont Chevrolet for McNally Motorsports. We'll start on the outside front row. He leads this race from pole position alongside that of Sean Drayton, the 11 FedEx Pontiac for Coach Parsons Racing. 20 spots up for grabs still in this race will determine the outside lane for rows 2 through 21. It is Cole Tucker and Sean Drayton front row ahead of Ben Lawrence and David Walton. So teammates there for the Pontiacs for Coach Parsons Racing, the 11 and the 18. See if they work together early on. David Walton, his teammate Vincent Knight, made it in to the Daytona 500 in Duel 1. He'll try to do the same thing for Bluegrass Racing from fourth on the grid in Duel 2. Billy Hampton and Clyde Elliott in row 3. Ahead of Mark Medina and Blaze Anderson in row 4. Kurt Berry and Marshall Parsons in row 5. Round out your top 10 of 30 cars in this second duel. Casey Jones for Peters Racing behind his teammate Kurt Berry. He's in row 6 alongside that of Kyle Irvine for Felix Racing. Weston Button going to try to do what his brother Jack couldn't do, and that's make the field. Button missed out in Duel 1. His brother Weston will try to make it in here in Duel 2. He starts 13th alongside Keith Strong for Arrowhead Racing. Darrell Everett Jr. will try to join his father and his older sister in the Daytona 500. His first attempt at the Great American Race, if he can get in and finish top 21 in tonight's duel. He's alongside Ron Regal in row 8. Tim Barton from Maxwell Racing alongside Craig Roberts in row 9. Craig's brother Kenny not making the field in Duel 1. Kyle Laporta and Tom Lewis in row 10. Tom Lewis, former champion, will have to flirt with the danger zone early in this duel. Aaron Hoover behind them alongside Bobby Jefferson. TJ Hill and David Germain in row 12. One of several IndyCar World Series drivers making the attempt here at Daytona. Sullivan and Newton in Duel 1 making the field comfortably. Top 4 for both of them. David trying to join his brother Matthew Germain in the field. Matthew in the 41, David in the 14. Unlike Sullivan and Newton, David Germain still racing full-time in the IndyCar World Series. He'll be returning to that series to when their season begins at Homestead next month. Evan Sampson and Jeff Beltran in row 13. Then it's Lewis Baird and Dallas Houston in row 14. Ricky Gordon and Mike Fuller round out the 30-car field. Again, top 21 is the ambitions for everybody. Just try to get into the field for the 42nd Daytona 500. As we get ready to go racing here, some very colorful cars in this field as we try to get things squared away and going. We saw the 21 car field, or 21 starters from race 1. Celeste Sullivan doing what no rookie's done before in winning the duel to kick off Daytona 500 week. Do we get to see rookies do it again here? Sean Drayton, one of the IndyCar World Series drivers, will try to do the same.
Drivers, start your engines.
as the command to fire engines is sounded. And once more for 50 laps, 30. Winston Cup machines begin rolling. So getting a good look at these cars at pace. Clyde Elliott there in row 3 alongside that of Billy Hampton. .50 laps will be the distance here. Caution free in Duel 1. No, sorry, not caution free. We did have one caution for a mechanical issue in Duel 1. Do we go caution free here in Duel 2? That is going to be interesting. Pretty interesting spread in Duel 1 as well with those 32 cars, 30 cars here. In practice, it seemed like they were pretty close together in this duel, so we'll see how that plays out. There's Marshall Parsons, the number 9, that WCW for Taurus. There's Casey Jones, one of the 6 Peters Racing cars that are attempting to make the field. 2 of them failed to qualify in Duel 1. Mike Collins and Jack Button both failing to qualify for the Daytona 500. They will watch on Sunday from the sidelines. Pontiac Grand Prix pace car takes the left-hand turn to pit lane. And Speed Weeks continues here. The Gatorade 125s. Duel 2 is underway. Green flag here in Daytona. Takes a little over a lap to get these cars up to speed. Once they do get to speeds to about 205 miles an hour. Cole Tucker gets to the point. His other 3 teammates in Duel 1 all making the Daytona 500. Jameson, Morgan, and Troy Lawrence. Troy's brother Ben in second place, that number 18. Interstate Batteries Pontiac for Coach Parsons Racing. Sean Drayton stuck on the outside lane in that 11. As David Walton gets to the inside lane and moves into third place. A Knight made the field in Duel 1, so both Bluegrass Motorsports cars could try to make the field here. Both of them have looked strong throughout Speed Weeks. There's Monte Carlos right now, looking pretty strong. Bluegrass Motorsports not running the 2 main engine suppliers for Chevrolet. They're not running McNally engines, and they're not running Everett Carver engines. They're running their own design. It's not very often they're not officially supported by Chevrolet. But they have been stout engines throughout Speed Weeks. A huge upgrade from where they were last year, where they were struggling to just crack top 20s. David Walton. Unlike his teammate Vincent, who is a rookie, Walton's been in the series for a few years. Has some experience here on the high banks of Daytona. Sean Drayton is a rookie. First attempt here at the Daytona 500. If he can make the field, as you see, David Walton puts his nose right to the inside of Ben Lawrence and will move the 18 out of second and out of the top 3. Sean Drayton moves to the inside lane at just the right time, but here comes Clyde Elliott, former Cup Series champion in that red 94. Riptide Racing lost one of their cars in Duel 1. Brad Benson did not make the field after having that mechanical failure that drew the caution earlier this afternoon. That 94 cars look stronger, though, in general of those 2 cars, and we're seeing it right now in the top 5, looking to the inside of the rookie Drayton. former IndyCar national champion in third, but not for long. Here comes Elliott. And then here comes the rookie Kurt Berry. 97 in that John Deere yellow and green machine, alongside teammate Mark Medina. See the 46 of Blaze Anderson there just behind, battling with Weston Button, Keith Strong, Casey Jones, and Billy Hampton. That rainbow-colored Kodak Advantix Chevrolet. Struggling just a little bit. Down right now in 11th place. Marshall Parsons also struggling. There is Darrell Everett Jr. trying to join his father and his sister in the field, and his other rookie teammate, Stanley Patrick, who qualified in Duel 1 as well. Not a lot of help for him. Not a lot of help for Cole Tucker. Both of them kind of the odd ones out for their teams, for both Darrell Everett Incorporated and for McNally Motorsports. Trying to make some inroads up as Anderson goes way up the racetrack. Was trying to put Hampton in the rearview mirror. Hampton defended well. Craig Roberts. Very spiteful relationship here for the Roberts family in Daytona. On the plate tracks in general, not really been their forte. Down to the 14th position behind Craig Roberts. There's Ron Regal. His teammate Dan Jones made the field in Duel 1. He's trying to do the same thing. Tim Barton in 16th. Marshall Parsons down to 17th. He has been on a slippery slope in this duel early on. We're on lap 7 of 50. There is a pit stop in this duel if it goes green all the way. You saw the window, about 33 of the 37 laps. Gets you through a full tank of fuel here in Daytona. Al Laporta trying to do what his teammate Mike Collins could not, and that's make the field right now. He's sitting 18th, not been strong in speed weeks. Kind of showing why it's difficult to make a 6-car effort work here in Daytona when you have over 60 cars trying to qualify for 42 starting spots. There's Evan Sampson in the Citgo 21 for Dean Brothers Racing, sitting right now in the 19th spot. Kyle Irvine sitting in 20th. Tom Lewis in 21st, the former champion, trying to make the field. His teammate, Anita Hill, did not qualify. Another fellow champion, Gloria Flynn, also failed to qualify in Duel 1. Tom Lewis trying to make it in instead of falling out. Remember, no champions professionals in this race. You're out, you're out. There's no way back in. Side of the top 21, there's Aaron Hoover in the 77, Bobby Jefferson in the 23, and then you have Jeff Beltran in the 30 car. He's 24th. Arrowhead Racing struggling a little bit. Both the 00 and the 30 not currently in good running order at the moment. There's Mike Fuller rounding out the 30 car field from the back. Three of those Arrowhead cars in this duel. Keith Strong, the 36, trying to join Celeste Sullivan in the field. Sullivan looked good in speed weeks, in practice, and in testing. But Strong was, on average, a little bit better going into this week. In the mix right now, while the other two for Arrowhead Racing a little bit further down the order. Just like what we saw in Duel 1 with Everett, Cole Tucker has dropped down out of the top 10. A lot of exploring on what he can do in that DuPont Chevrolet. As a former winner of this race, he should have a pretty good handle on it, but things have changed a little bit. The aerodynamics have changed on these cars a little bit from last year, especially with the spoilers on the back. You can see they're not hooked up to each other. There was a little bit of bump drafting in last year's event. They could get right up to the bumper of the car in front. Some changes made by NAMRA going into this season has opened up a little bit of what we call a bubble in front of these cars on the restrictor plate tracks at Daytona and Talladega. Shaved off just a little bit of the spoiler height on these super speedways. So everyone will really think twice about the amount of work that they're doing on the racetrack. Some limits to right height adjustments into camber angles have also played a part in changing how this race develops here. And obviously a small little screenshot we're seeing across these duels. It'll be amplified. It'll be 4 times that on Sunday for the 42nd Daytona 500. Clyde Elliott leads the way. Weston Button up to 3rd place behind Ben Lawrence. His Pontiacs have looked absolutely stout. Coach Parsons Racing, we know how good some of their cars have been. Tony Newton was really good. Solomon Reed, as a rookie, doing really well in the 81 and Duel 1. 18 of Ben Lawrence at Interstate Batteries 18, doing well as well. Rolling around the racetrack here in 2nd, Elliott leads, and here comes Keith Strong, as we expected. The strongest of the 4 Arrowhead cars in that Pontiac stable is trying to make some inroads. Here comes Casey Jones in the top 5 as well, with Tauruses beginning to move around a little bit. They were not strong in Duel 1, a little bit stronger here in Duel 2. There's also more of them in this duel with Jones, with Kurt Berry. You see a little bit further back there, that was, I believe, the 28. It is the 28 of Ron Regal for Richard York Racing. All in the mix. There is Tim Barton, also in the mix for Maxwell Racing. Mark Medina struggling a little bit, stuck on the outside lane. There is Craig Roberts for Royalty Racing. His teammate, Jensen McKinney, in the field for Sunday's race. The Dean Brothers Racing car of Evan Sampson right now sitting in the 18th spot, 19th for Kyle Laporta. Of Taurus is running around in the field right now. There is Marshall Parsons in his Taurus. Battling right now with Tom Lewis and then Aaron Hoover. Everyone jostling around a little bit here. That battle between Hoover and Parsons, Jefferson and Beltran, and David Germain, all for the final spot in the field. This is for 42nd in the starting grid for the 42nd Daytona 500. Right now, Aaron Hoover has it. That's how the intensity has picked up just a little bit. A lot more side-by-side going on here in Duel 2 than what we saw in Duel 1. And a lot of the Fords beginning to be shuffled backwards again. That is Casey Jones stuck outside lane, being passed by David Walton. Regal's moved up a spot here. Weston Button now stuck on the outside lane. Here comes Keith Strong. The Arrowhead Racing Pontiac Grand Prix, after a little bit of a setback early on, is back in the mix. Look at Kurt Berry, the rookie, trying to make his way forward. Cole Tucker knows what he's got in his Chevrolet. He's back up into the top 5 in 4th. Make that 3rd, getting around Clyde Elliott. as they come around to complete lap 17 of 50 in the Gatorade 125s. Duel 2 underway. Live from Daytona. Busy weekend coming up here. Tomorrow night, it is the Craftsman Truck Series opening their season in Daytona tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And then you have the Busch Truck Grand National Series on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. And then coverage for the 42nd Daytona 500 beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Green flag falls about 12:15 p.m. on Sunday. We hope you join us for the full weekend of racing here. Been a very busy week. We had qualification, single car qualifying yesterday for the Cup Series that determined the front row. Darrell Everett and Cole Tucker being those that'll lead the field to green on Sunday. A lot of your practices for the Truck Series and for the Busch Grand National Series coming later on this afternoon and tomorrow. Winston Cup Series final practice on Saturday after the Busch Grand National Series race, 6 p.m. for a 1-hour final practice to get everything dialed up and ready to go for Sunday's race. And you can see some of the strongest cars right now in Duel 2. They've been some of the strongest in all of Speedweeks. Arrowhead Racing, what a turnaround that they've had. Again, this is a team that last year, similar to what it was with Bluegrass Motorsports, with Arrowhead Racing, not a strong showing across those cars. Only had 2 cars full-time, did not have the 00 or the 30 running full-time. There was the 35 and the 36. Some changes in the lineup. Bringing in Keith Strong, bringing in Celeste Sullivan from the IndyCar World Series, as well as finding sponsorship for Bobby Jefferson and Jeff Beltran to try to contest the full season in those Pontiacs. Been a little bit feast or famine for that team, but right now they're eating well. Keith Strong leads, trying to do what his teammate Celeste Sullivan did in Duel 1. Cole Tucker not doing what Darrell Everett did in Duel 1. He is back up in the mix, battling for the race lead here. Very important for some of these cars. This is almost a full field of 42 cars, 30 cars here. But when you're feeling the momentum up near the front of the field, it's going to feel pretty similar. And this is going to be conditions closer to what you're going to see on Sunday. So Tucker taking advantage of that as Clyde Elliott goes up into the second spot ahead of Sean Drayton, who is now back in the mix. And then there's Blaze Anderson, the 46 car, trying to make some inroads. There's Weston Button and Ben Lawrence back in the top 10 as well. Ron Regal, David Walton, and Tim Barton in your top 10 right now as things sit. Darrell Everett Jr. in the danger zone. The rookie third-generation driver. Right now sitting at 17, just ahead of Tom Lewis and Mark Medina. That's 17th, 18th, and 19th leading that line. And you can see Bobby Jefferson has gotten into the top 20 ahead of Kyle Laporta and David Germain. Still racing full-time in IndyCar World Series. Will be racing beginning in March at Homestead Miami Speedway when that season begins here in about a month. Lewis Baird outside the top 21 as well. Here comes Kyle Laporta with a little bit of assistance from David Germain, trying to take on the Arrowhead Racing 00, that Cheez-Its 00 of Jefferson. There are pit stops required in these duels, one of them for everyone. Keith Strong still leads. Sean Drayton shuffled to the outside lane once again, this time by Anderson and Button going up into third. The Coach Parsons Racing cars did not look strong earlier this week, found a gear, and are really shining. Five-car effort for Coach Parsons Racing. All three in Duel 1 made it in. Victor Espinoza, Solomon Reed, Tony Newton. Two cars in this duel, and they are right now right next to each other. That is how they started, but it was with Sean Drayton ahead of Ben Lawrence. Look at David Walton. He put his nose in there. Ron Regal shut the door. But Walton not afraid of getting a little bit more aggressive. It is Pontiac's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And here comes Weston Button. He's had a couple of close finishes here at Daytona. Has not won on the plate tracks yet in his career, but he is in a really good spot to do so right now. That 22 car looks outstanding. Pontiacs overall have looked outstanding to kick off the year. A lot of investment from Arrowhead Racing, from Coach Parsons Racing, the two main teams there in Pontiac, and it shows. Sorry, through turns 3 and 4. Sorry, through turns 1 and 2, excuse me. I read that track map completely wrong. Keith Strong falling back a little bit here. According to the radio, a little bit more intentional for Keith Strong. He wants to test more of the car in traffic. He spent most of this race at the front of the field. Wants to try to carve up through the field again, knowing he's got the car that is strong enough to do so. Similar to what Cole Tucker did earlier. And they know that they've got a decent buffer all the way back to 17th with Darrell Everett and company. So why not take that gamble and try to figure it out? Everyone in different mentalities here at Daytona. We are on lap 28 of 50, though. We have crossed the halfway point in Duel 2. And again, for those right now in this top 16 cluster, they are all right now provisionally in the Daytona 500 on Sunday. It's a question of where they're starting on that outside lane, the inside lane already determined. As Keith Strong falls back a little bit further. Getting passed now by Cole Tucker. See Medina and Laporta's gotten around Darrell Everett. There's Tom Lewis. Now up into the 20th spot. And the fight begins for 21st once again. Jermaine had it across the line. Teammates working together there. The 30 and the 00 for Arrowhead Racing will put him on the back foot, but only one of them is in the race right now, and that's the 00 of Bobby Jefferson. They've got to work together a little bit more to move some of these cars out of the way. Darrell Everett Jr. could be in trouble, as could former champion Tom Lewis. Sophomore driver Kyle Laporta, or longtime veteran Mark Medina, who has spent a couple of seasons as runner-up in the championship standings. One car pretty well off the pace right now. Mike Full of the 59 reporting a potential issue in that Hollywood Racing car. His teammate Chad Green already out, did not make it in Duel 1. So Hollywood Racing struggling early in the 2000 season with a potential mechanical issue for Full, potentially knocking him out of the running here to try to qualify for the Daytona 500. See the gap here from 16th all the way down to 17th, Medina. And here comes Everett. Darrell Jr. making a move to get back into a little bit better safety, and that's going to put Laporta in some trouble. Because you see those Pontiacs with 00 in the 30. They're going to try to work together to get both those cars in the field. Arrowhead Racing would love to have 4 cars in the Daytona 500 for the first time. They've attempted to run this large of a team. Right now, Jefferson is in. He was across the line 21st. Going to go for 20th, and he's going to try to keep the door open for Jeff Beltran. At Jimmy Dean, number 30. This is where the spotters have to do a lot of work. Pit stops coming up here very shortly. The window about to open. Look at David Germain trying to make it in. This is sort of a one-off because he was bored type endeavor for Mansion Motorsports that has become a little bit more important for the team, with Gloria Flynn not qualifying in a very similar looking number 87 Chevrolet in Duel 1. Beltran up to 21st. The Pontiacs working together. Another Pontiac in the mix, but not the same group. There's Lewis Baird in the 93. Sort of on an island at the moment. Dallas Houston for Archer Racing. Sitting right now in 26th place at the very tail end of this group. Marshall Parsons, TJ Hill, and Ricky Gordon in trouble. Needing a little bit of help, and there is Fuller, well and truly out of drafting distance. And here come the leaders. He's actually on the verge of going a lap down here in Daytona. Similar to what we saw with Brad Benson in Duel 1, it's been a struggle for the Fords. The Privateer Fords have been really struggling. It is Clyde Elliott leading the way, David Walton in second, Drayton in third, leading Weston Button in fourth, Kurt Berry, there's Keith Strong back up into the top 5. Ahead of Blaze Anderson and Cole Tucker. They're approaching lap traffic quickly, the 59. 30th place at the moment. Clyde Elliott trying to figure out how he wants to approach this. He's got control of the cars behind him. Suck up right to the back of the 59 of Fuller and sweep to the inside, to the left. Walton tried to pass on the right. Gets down to the inside lane before Kurt Berry can close the door. They're all going to try to get around. Here comes a little bit of trouble, though, for those on the outside lane. Button, Drayton, Alexander. See Blaze Anderson trying to make his way to the inside lane. Ron Regal blocked the door for him there. There's Kyle Irvine. Teammates with the 46 there, Irvine and Anderson sitting in position there. Fuller gets the inside lane and frustrates the Pontiacs behind him. Remember, pit stops not far away. We're on lap 36, expecting pit stops to come around pretty quickly. It's isolated to a 5-car cluster here with Elliott, Berry, David Walton, Keith Strong, and Cole Tucker in pursuit. And really shuffled up the top 16 in this group, but Fuller now back up to speed, it looks like. Running same speed as the front 5. 197 there, 197 for Fuller as well. Looks like pit stop's about to take place. Everyone goes up towards the fence because here comes the cars down pit lane. That is Walton. There is Drayton coming down pit lane. Button, Hampton, and Barton all coming down pit lane this time, as does Medina and Darrell Everett Jr. and the 90 of Dallas Houston, all coming down pit lane. How about this time? It looks like just Marshall Parsons, the number 9, comes down pit lane this time. Aaron Hoover already down pit lane. He came down first. Less than 10 laps to go expected by the time we get through all of this pit cycle. Here comes Keith Strong on his own, and it's going to slow up the leaders. Aaron Hoover really going to hurt the leaders in their opportunities here. Ben Lawrence got around Mike Fuller, trying to hold on to the draft here. Closing in, he's about 6 miles an hour faster than the leaders right now. He is closing in quickly as they come out of turn number 2. So Lawrence going to be in a chance to fight for the race lead here potentially by the time everyone makes their pit stops. And it seems like everyone made their fuel mileage work a little bit longer than they did in Duel 1. Around the 90 of Houston, having to thread the needle there as all the leaders come down pit lane, as does the lap car of Mike Fuller. There's Craig Roberts, there's Casey Jones, there's Bobby Jefferson, Tom Lewis, Marshall Parsons, who already pit down earlier. There's Keith Strong leaving pit lane now ahead of Clyde Elliott. Everyone getting up to speed a little bit here. There's David Walton trying to get his way back forward. Going to see a bit of an accordion as these cars get up to speed and begin to collect each other again. Cluster of cars right here. That is Hampton, that is Medina, that is Darrell Everett Jr. There is Evan Sampson, who's going to slow them down because he does not want to be left behind. If they go by, he will not be able to hold on to him because he's still getting up to speed. So a little bit of blocking needed to hold on to this group. Cars in this group as well. Laporta, Beltran, Baird. Looks like Kurt Berry's going to have a really good shot here to be in contention for the race lead. Could we get 2 rookies winning the Gatorade 125s? Keith Strong flies on by. Here comes David Walton, though, and Cole Tucker, and Clyde Elliott. Look at Kyle Irvine there, 42. Also in this conversation. There's Blaze Anderson. There's Ben Lawrence, Tim Barton, Sean Drayton in the top 10 at the moment. Craig Roberts, Weston Button. How the tide turns a little bit here. Medina and Darrell Everett Jr. now in relative safety. And so is Dallas Houston, the 90, right now trying to hold on to Aaron Hoover. The 90 is in 21st right now. It is Tom Lewis, Jeff Beltran, Lewis Baird, and Kyle Laporta all on the outside looking in, coming to 9 laps to go. Arrowhead Racing looks like they might lose one of their cars in the duel, but they'll have 3 in the race if things hold as they are. Bobby Jefferson in 19th place is in the field right now. He would be in row number 19. Here comes Aaron Hoover, wanting that extra padded security. Jefferson now struggling. Outside lane for him As the laps tick away, the more that these three fight, the more that those four line astern will close in and make this a 7-car fight for the last 3 spots in the field. This is for 38th, 40th, and 42nd starting spot. Tom Lewis wants to make the field. Desperately wants to make the field. Does not want to join Gloria Flynn in being a champion that misses the Daytona 500. Let alone being the defending champion missing the Daytona 500. We've never had that before. But that is a potential reality. Beltran looks to the inside, won't go anywhere. Here comes Lewis Baird. And the Pontiacs are going to fight against each other here a little bit. It's going to allow Lewis to get up to the 00. He has left the 30 and the 93 hanging out the dry, and the 16 of Laporta. And now Dallas Houston, he worked so hard to move up from 27th up into the race positions. Will now slip out of it for a moment. He's going to slot in behind Tom Lewis. And now it's 3 Fords and a Pontiac in this group on the fringe. We are on lap 45 of 50 here. Only 1 car off lead lap, and that is Mike Fuller. This is your lead group right now. Keith Strong leads the way for Arrowhead Racing. McNally Motorsports, Cole Tucker, your pole sitter for Duel 2. Where he finishes this race is irrelevant to the conversation. He is starting Sunday's Daytona 500 on the front row alongside Darrell Everett. For everyone else, though, it is imperative. How close to the front of the field can you start? Clyde Elliott right now sitting in 4th. It is Ben Lawrence in the top 5 at the moment. David Walton in 6th. Clyde Berry in 7th. Not Clyde Berry, Kurt Berry in 7th. Lazy Anderson in 8th. Tim Barton in 9th. And Sean Drayton in the top 10. Ahead of Craig Roberts and Weston Button, who are on a little bit of an island. There's this little battle, this 5-car group fighting it out right now. It is Medina getting passed right now by his teammate, Casey Jones. Darrell Everett Jr. right now sitting on 15th place right now. He'd be row 15 in the Daytona 500, his first. Billy Hampton in 16th, 17th Evan Sampson, Ron Regal in 18th. And this 7-car group is now put together to battle out for those final 3 spots. Aaron Hoover leads the way. Tom Lewis up to 20th. Bobby Jefferson in 21st. But the Arrowhead Racing Toyota or Pontiacs are in this frame. 3 of them in the group, but Lewis Baird not an Arrowhead Pontiac. Will try to put things together. As the laps tick down here in Duel 2. 3 laps to go for the field. And you see Ron Regal now in danger for Richard York Racing. He is on an island. He is well slower than the field, and this could be the reprieve that one of these 7 need. Who's it going to be? Lewis goes to the inside, goes to the left. He's going to pin Hoover behind the 28 Regal. That's the game plan. Will it work? The Pontiac's moving as well. Two laps to go in the duels. The Pontiac's trying to shuffle out one of the Fords. And it could be Aaron Hoover. Stuck all alone on the outside lane. Ron Regal has caught up and now up to speed with the rest of the field. However, he is a sitting duck with Tom Lewis behind him. And then teammates for Arrowhead Racing trying to get all 4 cars in the field. Was Baird just outside the top 21 as well. Now 22nd place for him. White flag, 1 lap to go. Coming out of turn 4 for the final time. Cole Tucker is going to finish where he started. He's going to win Duel 2, and he's going to pick up the $50,000 prize. Clyde Elliott will start in 4th. David Walton in 6th. Ben Lawrence in 8th. Kyle Irvine will round out the top 10 in the starting grid. This is the run to the finish to make the Daytona 500. Ron Regal will stay safe. Jeff Beltran will finish 21st. He will start the Daytona 500 from 42nd position. Lewis Baird will miss out, as will Kyle Laporta, Aaron Hoover, and Dallas Houston. Ricky Gordon, David Germain, TJ Hill all missing out as well. Marshall Parsons missing out, finishing this race 29th. Cole Tucker wins. See the onboard there of Cole Tucker. As they all come down the pit lane. Cole Tucker gets to celebrate and grab that $50,000 check. He will start in 2nd place on Sunday. We knew that going in. He submitted it there, and he submitted that 24 DuPont Chevrolet is going to be one of the strongest in the 42nd Daytona 500. As the field comes on down, it is Tucker, Elliott, Walton, Lawrence, and Irvine, your top 5. They will start in the top 10 outside rows 1 through 5. Blaze Anderson finished 6th. He will start in 12th on Sunday's race. Kurt Berry in 7th. He will start 14th. Keith Strong, despite leading a healthy chunk of laps, 15 in this duel, only manages a 8th place result. He will start 16th ahead of Sean Drayton. The former IndyCar national champion will start this race on Sunday from 18th position. 20th for Tim Barton, who finished 10th here this afternoon. Craig Roberts will start 22nd. He finished 11th tonight. Weston Button finished 12th. He will start 24th. Mark Medina, Darrell Everett Jr., and Billy Hampton, they will start at the lower end of the field, but they are all safely in. Medina will start in 26th. Darrell Everett Jr., his first Daytona 500, will be 28th on the starting grid. Billy Hampton will round out the top 30 in the starting grid on Sunday. Evan Sampson, Casey Jones, Ron Regal, and Tom Lewis, they make up positions 16 through 19. That is 32nd, 34th, 36th, and 38th here today. Bobby Jefferson will start 40th. And his teammate for Arrowhead Racing, Jeff Beltran, will round out the 42-car field on Sunday. Lewis Baird, Kyle Laporta, Aaron Hoover, Dallas Houston, Ricky Gordon, David Germain, TJ Hill, Marshall Parsons, and Mike Fuller, the 9 that failed to qualify for the Daytona 500. They will have to watch from the sidelines. Some of them racing in either the truck race tomorrow night or the Busch Grand National race on Saturday. So they will still see some action this weekend, but it will not be on Sunday. We appreciate you tuning in and joining us this afternoon for the Gatorade 125s to set the field for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Join us for the rest of the week as Speed Weeks culminates in the Great American Race here in Florida. This has been a NAMRA Winston Cup Series presentation. We will now send you back to the studio for Sports Nation. Stay safe, and so long, everybody, from Daytona.